Hi everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Smoke Signals. I'm Matt Montgomery along with head football coach Wayne Coleman. Jacksonville Fighting Indians get a huge win at White House last week with an 18-14 great win, coach, beating White House. Second year in a row that you beat the Wildcats, but probably a bigger thing here is that, number one, you did it on the road, and number two is it comes at a point in the district race as opposed to last year when you beat them at Tomato Bowl. That's really critical because you get that first win and you're right in the thick of things.
Yeah, last year the win came kind of after everything had already been decided in the playoff hunt, and this year the game came early in the district schedule, and so one of the two teams was going to come out of there 0-2, and you didn't want to be that team, so the kids played really well, and we're sitting in good shape.
Coach, you're playing really well on the road. That's the third win of your 4 wins have come on the road.
Yeah, we don't think about it that much. I didn't even know it until after the game. Somebody mentioned it. We did at halftime tell the kids there's no need to panic. We've been behind at half before, and I guess the last time we were behind at half might have been, I don't know, on the road at least. It was at Mount Pleasant, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so we just told the kids to stay relaxed, make adjustments, and go out and play.
Yeah, I looked this up. The last time Jacksonville won at White House was in 2000, 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's been a tough sled over there. So getting the win, huge win. Coach, some stats that really jumped out is that time of possession was amazing. 30 minutes, 30 and a half to 17 and a half in a 48-minute ball game. Nearly doubled White House's time of possession. Really key stat in that ball game.
It is, and it's a great way to play defense sometimes, to keep the other team from having the ball. And I know you take great comfort when you're coaching defense when you see your offense on the field all night. And we did a good job of running the clock the other night, especially in the second half. We had some long drives and really kind of took the game over there.
White House, they didn't get their second possession of the ball game until 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Were you and your coaching staff conscious of, because I noticed that Cam High would look over at the game clock and he was really letting it run down a lot, because typically you like to do that, that up-tempo game. Was that purposeful to slow it down like that?
In the first half, it was more a matter of we were trying to get the right defensive looks we wanted before we called the play. But in the second half, it became a matter of let's go ahead and start milking this clock, because it felt like, even when we were behind, it felt like we were running the ball so well that we wanted to turn it into a low possession game.
Turnovers, we talk about it every week. Coaches talk about it all the time. This game really made the difference. You had 4 turnovers, takeaways, I should say, as opposed to the 1. So you were +3 on that side. Those were big turnovers too.
Yeah. You can't underemphasize the importance of them. They're just game changers, and until you're the team that's giving the ball away and getting your drives stopped, you don't realize how much they hurt. You kind of take them for granted sometimes when you're the one receiving the turnovers. But there's no doubt those are game changers.
Yeah, coming into the ball game, White House was +11 on takeaway, so they didn't win that battle, and particularly the interception, which we'll see on the highlights in a few minutes with Jay Bush. That was a killer because that was their opening drive. They went all the way down the field. They got nothing out of it.
Yeah, red zone efficiency was big for both teams the other night. We stalled a couple times in the first half in the red zone, and of course we got the interception on them in the red zone in the first half. So that was a big factor the other night.
You added a few wrinkles offensively. You had the little counter trap play that worked very well. Was White House showing anything defensively that made you kind of say, hey, here's what we need to do differently in the second half? Because the second half you came out and it was a little bit different halves, tail of 2 halves there.
Yeah, they were. We started the game off throwing a lot of quick passes, trying to get defenders out of the box. And it worked well in the first quarter. We got some guys out of the box and were able to run the quarterback counter game. And then later in the game, we had been kind of saving our counter draw series throughout the year to where we got to where somebody we thought we could use it against. And that turned out to be a good scheme for us.
So it's 7-3 and the half's winding down, and White House gets the touchdown pass, and it's 14-3 going in at the half. And I don't know what you guys said at the half, but in the second half, the secondary and the defense was just shut down the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's mostly a matter of kids getting settled in, believe it or not. I mean, I know you're in Game 6, but now you're in Game 6 against a team that wants to throw it every snap, and you haven't run into that team yet this year. And so your secondary is out there just trying in the first half, get lined up, get settled in, and not let the game be too big for them. So once we got that first half under our belts and everybody had a feel for, hey, this isn't really that big a deal, let's just go out and play 7-on-7 football against them. And we settled in pretty good.
Well, this was definitely a game of huge plays, and we talked about it on the air where, hey, this is the biggest play of the game and this is the biggest play of the game. When you start having those, that shows you not only how tight the game is, but you just had a lot of players step up, and I know you're real proud of that. So let's do this. Let's take a look at some of the highlights now. Jacksonville White House with that 18-14 win. Of course, here's that first big turnover where White House drove down the field and Ja'Shawn Bush.
Yeah, he kind of stared his receiver down a little bit, and Ja'Shawn was able to come across from the backside safety position and make a great play there.
Nice return, too, out of the end zone, 38-yard return. So here's what Cam Hyde does, and we talked about you can contain him only for so long.
Yeah, this is after we had kind of used the trip set to get some players out of the box, and he took advantage of it there.
And here's that play, really critical play here that set up the field goal here with Cam Hyde and DeMontre working that sideline.
Yeah, this is a result of our summer work, getting the timing down between those two guys, and they've worked really well together for us.
Of course, that set up this field goal here. Cesar Guerrero starting to become kind of money when he gets the chance here, 26-yarder.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable now calling for our field goal team to run out there. There's a very comforting feeling when those guys go out there.
Here's the quarterback, Tanner Roach of White House, with a nice slant in here. Indians keep him out of the end zone, but they do go in for the score eventually. End zone look here at the overthrow that their ball hawk, Javier Neal, picks it off.
Yeah, we put that one down the middle of the field a little bit too much. It should have been over on the hash, but he made a great play. Kudos to him.
So here's White House with what they do.
Yeah, we were in man coverage there with actually safety help, but we put our eyes in the backfield too much, and that's what happens in the secondary if you're looking at the quarterback instead of your man.
So now we're in the third quarter with White House up 14-3. This is a 3rd and 12. And what a move, I tell you, DeMontre Christopher, he got up about as high as you could get that. He definitely high pointed that.
Yeah, it was a good alley-oop look right there.
And this is Cam Hyde with a touchdown on that zone read.
Cam ran right through the teeth of the defense on that. We were counting on their linebackers to flow over top on the fake.
Here's a forced fumble. D. Spencer. Scooter Baker picks it up. Jacksonville football, another one of those turnovers. Here comes Scooter Baker, again, another big ball game by the junior. And just his 3rd game this year after injury.
Yeah, that's a big play on 4th down and 1 to get a stop right there. That was one of those big plays of the game you're talking about.
So 4th and 4 here, and you go for it. And this was one of 2 4th down conversions, and Cam just keeps motoring.
Yeah, he's got such a big heart. Kid plays so hard. That's the kind of guy you want to be your quarterback.
He picked up 12 yards there, and here's the big play right here. This is 4th down and goal, and Cam goes in. Coach, that's a huge play. Obviously, take the lead.
Yeah, great block by Will Garland on that play for us.
And here comes your young sophomore. You're rushing 2, and Pee Wee Fuller, watch him come around the edge there.
He's got his motor running.
Yeah.
He can go. Pee Wee's a very athletic kid despite his physical appearance sometimes.
He really motored in there, 14-yard sack, and that really, when you're rushing 2 and you can do that, boy, just a huge win, Coach. And anytime you get a win over your rival like White House, it's big. But from a district standpoint, like we talked about earlier, it's just a great win on the road. It puts you at 1-1 in 17-5A play. and now Ennis comes to town. And this is a team that White House, we talked about this last week, White House had Ennis beat on the interception, and they fumbled it back to him. Ennis is still a good football team, defending state champion.
They really are. They've got a great program. Coach Alvarez does a great job over there. They play hard-nosed, tough football, very similar to Alvarado. They want to run the ball up inside on you, and we're going to have a real challenge this week with them.
Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago when you played Alvarado, how that game would be a good test for you with Ennis. They do like to run between the tackles.
They do, and the great thing about the Alvarado game is that we learned from our mistakes. We found all the things we need to fix, and the kids have already been in this setting before. They've played this type of team, so the mistakes we made in that earlier game should be cleaned up for this.
Defensively, Ennis, very physical. They always are. And a team like Ennis with that kind of program, Coach, when they get to play an extra 4, 5, 6 ball games a year for the last several years in the playoffs, actually those kids get that much more experience, and I know that helps them a lot.
Yeah, that's a big deal. They get an extra month of practice every year. And when that varsity season is extended by a month, your JV is out there practicing for an extra month. So those kids, all their younger kids, are getting the extra reps, and it helps your program.
What are some of the things that you've seen on film that Ennis will do defensively? Because obviously every week every team comes into the ball game saying, we got to stop the zone read for Jacksonville. You got to stop number 8, the quarterback, Cameron High. What do you see them doing?
I think they'll do like everybody else and load the box and try to find ways to stop the read option. We were really efficient a couple weeks ago against Corsicana, hitting our big pass plays when they loaded the box. Last Friday night, we weren't very efficient on the big pass plays. So we've got to get that fixed, and we've got to make them pay for taking people out of the secondary and putting them on the quarterback.
Yeah, one thing that I thought y'all were effective with last week, Jacksonville did a good job of throwing the little hot routes and kind of loosening things up. And once you kind of did that, you had the 2 consecutive plays to Ashton Melton. It kind of loosened them up a little bit, and that's when Cam was able to kind of maneuver and Wuda and some of the backs.
Yeah, it cleans things up a little bit when you can get those guys out of the box. Gives you a little bit more room on your running game. But what we want to be able to do is hit the big play on that, and we didn't get that done last week, so we got to work on that.
You'll be seeing probably one of the best running backs in the district in Tyson Thompson for Ennis. They have so many weapons, and I know they lost a lot to graduation, but this is a team that can do a lot. I mean, they're a very physical team. How do they compare with some of the teams? Are they an Alvarado type physicality?
They sure are. They're a lot like Alvarado, a little more talented at the skill positions. But very similar in schemes and as far as running the football up in the middle and then beating you on the bootlegs off of it.
Defensively, what will you have to do as far as like containing them like that?
We've got to be better on our run fits. We didn't do a very good job against Alvarado. Sometimes we ask our kids as coaches, we tell them too many things to do. And the kid gets in the middle of the game and his head's spinning. And you got to be very defined about what your role is at your defensive position, and trust the guy next to you is going to take care of his part. You don't want kids out there thinking, well, I got to do this and do this. Usually, if he's having to do 2 different things, it's not going to work well.
Every week, we talk about keys to the game, and you've kind of alluded to many of them. And to me, though, I think you may be in another situation where ball control would be obviously a key to the game.
No, there's no doubt. If we can win the time of possession battle, if you think about it, like last week where we had the ball for 30 minutes, you have the ball for 30 minutes and you win the turnover battle, there's not very many chances left for the other team to score. So those are big factors in the game of football.
Yeah, and I know that people think of Jacksonville, the up-tempo offense like everybody does, but I mean, I'm really starting to see some real maturity on your offense. The way things they're slowing down, and they're not getting in too big a hurry. The penalties are much less, and I know that's just repetition.
It is. It is. The kids are getting comfortable with the system. It's becoming habit for them now on most of the plays that we call, and we're starting to understand that 4 yards is a good football play. And in this day of up-tempo spread offenses, everybody thinks it's not a good play unless you get 10, 15, 20 yards. 4 yards is a great football play. And 4 yards means you're probably going to keep the ball for a while.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep that mentality, and it helps our defense. It just improves your chances of winning the game.
Yeah, your defensive coordinator Kenny Kennedy had some great calls the other night, and it just seems this defense is in so much better position than they have been, especially your first year and in the past several years. That if you're not in position to make the play, you aren't going to make the play. I don't care how great athlete you are, and it just seems like these guys are buying into where they're supposed to be at the right time.
Yeah, what happens is the better that your all 11 guys play and understand their fits, the easier the plays become to make. In the past, when you're not trusting the guy next to you to make his correct fit on defense, that means you're trying to tackle the guy in the size of a parking space, and you don't want to make those tackles. You want to make tackles in phone booths. And the better the defense gets, the smaller the holes get, the easier the tackles become.
Coach, Ennis is coming in. It's a huge game. It's going to be packed house at Tomato Bowl, which is what you want. Talk about the emotions of this ball game, because when you come off a big win like that against White House, and now you've got the big dog of the district coming in, you would think there would not be an emotional letdown. And I know that that's what you have to guard against, because there's a certain high that comes off beating White House like that. Now here comes Ennis, and how do you have to guard against that?
The worst thing you can do is let emotions enter into the game. You have to just focus on the next play. We talk about process all the time. It's just another game. It's just another play. It's just another opening kickoff. Go out and do what you've been coached to do, and do your job. And don't turn it into something any bigger than what it is. The plays that we made against White House, we made because we trusted each other, and we did what we've been doing all year this year. So we just have to continue that pattern, and they don't have a big S on their chest over in Ennis. They're a good football team. We're a good football team. White House is a good football team. Let's just go out and play the game and take care of each other and trust each other.
Well, it's going to be a big game at the Tomato Bowl this Friday night. Ennis comes to town. They're 2-0. Jacksonville 1-1. Big 17-5A game. Hope you can join us on 103.9 FM. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. Kickoff at 7:30, and you can see it, the online address there if you want to listen online on your smartphone or your tablet. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. Have a great day, everybody.